Okay, it is 6 o'clock and we'll call the council meeting to order, the April 14th, 2025 regular council meeting. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Epiwik, Prince Edward Island. Mi'kmaq is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Okay. Next on the agenda is an approval of the agenda as presented. Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Spin. Any additions, comments, or anything else on the agenda? Okay, all in favor of the agenda as presented? Aye. Okay, motion carried. Next is disclosure of conflict of interest. Anybody in conflict of anything on the agenda tonight? Not seeing any, we'll move on. Adoption of minutes. Adoption of number 4 is 4.1. The adoption of the March 10th, 2025 regular council minutes. If you've had a chance to look at those, I'll take a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor Van Dargersgoed, second by Councilor Spin. Okay. Any comments on those minutes or? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, the next is the adoption of the March 2024 special council minutes. A motion to move for adoption?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councilor McLean, second by Councilor McDonald. Okay, give you a few minutes to look at those. Any comments or anything on those minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion is carried. Next is on the agenda is number 5, RCMP report. I think we have anybody here. Oh, okay, sorry. Couldn't see you behind there. You're hidden.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. Does that work?
The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. There were 21 person crimes in March, up from 12 in February. Assaults accounted for 9, for which 6 resulted in charges laid or recommended. And an arson with disregard for human life. The suspect in the matter has been arrested, charges have been laid, and they are still in custody. 3 sexual offenses were reported. 1 is open, still under investigation, while a second is concluded as the suspect is involved in other criminal matters. The remaining activity involves uttering threats for and indecent harassing communications. Property crime accounted for 38 occurrences, up slightly from 33. Arson activity increased with 2 separate occurrences. Charges have been laid in both occurrences, and 2 separate and unrelated suspects have been arrested. And as I mentioned, they're both still in custody. There were 22 mischief occurrences reported with 7 frauds. A variety of thefts were reported with 1 theft over $5,000, 5 thefts under $5,000, and a single shoplifting. No charges have been laid in these files. A single taking a motor vehicle without consent resulted in the suspect identified, but no charges laid at the request of the complainant. We had no drug enforcement occurrences in March. Traffic occurrences dropped from 255 in February to 150 in March. Impaired driving occurrences accounted for 8, with 4 by alcohol and 4 by drug. Of these, 3 of the alcohol-related and 2 of the drug-related occurrences resulted in charges, while the remaining 2 drug-related occurrences are open or still under investigation. There were 29 speeding violations recorded, along with 85 other traffic offenses violations. We had no fatal collisions, and 10 check stops were documented. Overall, 351 occurrences were recorded in Southern Kings, 512 in all of Kings. with 335 of these being founded or still under investigation. This is lower than March 2024, when 378 occurrences, 356 of those were founded, were reported. And last month, when 393 occurrences, 379 of which were founded, were reported. Policing initiatives, we did have an individual that is a known offender in Kings sentenced to federal time for 2 years. Now, that was as a result of another jurisdiction's file. We had a file at the same time that was going through court. Our sentence wasn't as heavy as the other jurisdictions, but it is an impact to us here in Kings, removing an offender from the community for a period of time. King's members also performed 6 curfew checks, arrested an unlawfully at-large individual, and monitored 5 people released from being incarcerated. That included post-release in-person visits, and we partnered with the parole board to monitor subjects in the community or provide disclosure to assist with their decisions. King's RCMP also found time to participate in community events that included visits to the Over 50 Club in Cardigan, coaching soccer, hockey, and 2 RCMP recruiting sessions. 3 members were provided the mini drone training and will be acquiring their own units, which we find very beneficial to our investigations and our responses to calls. And 1 is planned to be sent on the National Marine Foundation's training, which is the boat course. So we hope to see some boat activity this summer, which is a headquarters initiative as well. So selective traffic enforcement program on March 1st at Route 3 and Fools Corner to Georgetown. 15 cars were observed. There was several warnings issued for speed and a burnout headlight. And like I said, 15 cars were observed in total. On the same day, we did a step initiative in Vernon River between Baldwin Road to Cherry Valley. It's a 90-kilometer-an-hour zone. Very little traffic was observed, and everybody was observed operating within expectations. We did this stat difference, but my stat is we had 15 complete check stops. And we completed them in Vernon River, Buig, Roseneath, Elliotvale, Kinross, Glen William, Vernon Bridge, Green Meadows, and Head of Hillsborough, Montague, Morel, Highbank, and Howe Bay. As for resources, we are on an uptick. We currently have 24 positions for regular members. We have 4 support staff, which brings us to 28 employees. We have 6 members that are off presently for an indeterminate amount of time. We have 1 individual that is transferring. He actually sold his house and is on a house hunting trip at his new post, so we expect to see him gone by June. But overall, we have 20 rotable members operational. We have 2 additional rotable members, but they have some restrictions. Those are our new members that come with restrictions when they come from depot. They're at about 2 months service at this point in time, and like I said, we have six off for an indeterminate amount of time at this point in time. And that's my report.
I guess to say the least, they keep you busy.
They keep us busy.
Yeah, well, the sounds of it, very busy. And, yeah, and we appreciate all that you do in Three Rivers, so thank you for coming, taking the time out to do the report. Any questions for, go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, you said you had 4 people charged for impaired due to drugs, right?
I'll have to go back to. Four by alcohol and 4 by drug.
So, and you said 1 was charged,
Yep.
and the other 3 were what?
So 3 of the alcohol-related, 2 of the drug-related occurrences resulted in charges, while the remaining 2 drug-related occurrences are open or still under investigation. So there could be a variety of reasons. We might be waiting for results back from the lab to provide disclosure. We might not have enough information at this time to lay the charge.
Okay.
We're waiting for that information to come in.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Sergeant? Thank you very much, and we'll see you at our next meeting.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Do I turn this off? Same one?
Okay, next on our agenda is presentations and delegations. Council values your input. Registered speakers are allotted 5 minutes to present their views. During the presentation, council members will not engage or debate, but may answer questions afterwards. To ensure a productive and respectful discussion, speakers are encouraged to maintain a professional tone and avoid personal attacks and focus on matters within the jurisdiction of the municipal government. While the speaker is presenting, all others in attendance must remain quiet and seated to allow the speaker to be heard clearly. So we had 4 speakers on our list for tonight. And our first speaker is May. I think, don't want to mispronounce your name. I think it's Deadman.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, you gotta yell at me because I'm kind of deaf.
Okay. So May, if you can come to the podium and push the button there to turn on your speaker.
Where it says podium? I don't know. Anyway, here's copies, for you guys if you want them later. I don't know if you, council, received the copies that I sent in earlier?
Yes, we have.
Okay, can I read what I want to say without being gavelled out? Otherwise, I'll just leave now and leave these copies.
No, allow us to sit in 5 minutes, May. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Okay. I want to concentrate on your slogan up there, 3 rivers where history is made. I reserved my 5 minutes 2 weeks ago, and I'm not curious anymore because you're allowing me to have my 5 minutes. I watched the last meeting online on YouTube. It was totally disruptive, but not by the citizens at 3 Rivers. It was disruptive because of council in this town hall. I was under the assumption that this town hall means that it's a building for people, the community, to express their concerns, their ideas, whatever they have concerns about their community on. Like me, it could be my scooter out there, who knows? Like, I've been stopped by the RCMP twice because apparently they don't know the rules of the road for mobility scooters, and I had to study the Highway Safety Act for 2 days to explain it to them. Anyway, obviously, council is not really all that concerned about the citizens. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever the last meeting was online, I heard more of a gavel pounding than I did from the people with their concerns. So I wish to give a little history lesson of my own here about how this will be the last time I ever address this council because in my mind it's totally useless. I've been accosted on the street. Anyway, here's my history lesson. Back in the 80s, I had my own business. I was the first daycare to run an after-school program on the island, the first daycare in Canada to have computers, and the first to buck the system. The result? I lost my business and my license. I fought and won the right to have my license returned to me, but by then I was bankrupt. Then I got a job at the Humane Society. I was an animal control officer. The manager didn't like my personality, had a staff meeting and told the staff not to act like me. So I went to the labor union that night after the staff meeting, got all the union cards signed, and it's been a union shop since the 90s, the early 90s. I was fired for my effort. Again, I fought and won a wrongful dismissal suit and ended up at the bridge. I worked security at the Confederation Bridge for the whole project. And for the whole project, I put up with sexual abuse when fighting this abuse was a losing proposition for women. So I kept my job. Why am I telling you this? Because when I moved to Montague, I felt like I had a home here. I wanted to be a part of this community, and this is where I ended up. I no longer want to be a part of this community because history has always done what it always does. It repeats itself. I got messed around on jobs. I had concerns here. Okay, I just have a couple of more paragraphs. You'll never see me again, so, you know. And I also had a legitimate complaint. I wrote a letter to the mayor. It was passed to Mr. Jameson, had a couple of calls, promising to listen. My calls were not returned. So I have watched and listened to the community's members speak after doing research for hours and reserving their 5 minutes only to be gavelled out. You can't even applaud for people anymore. So I'm out. Have your institutional zoning. History will prove you wrong in the end. Don't waste your time, council, pretending you care about these people behind me, because it's obvious you don't. So once again, I say, Three Rivers, where history is made.
Thank you, May. I just want to say that I have followed up on your complaint with Mr. Jameson, our CAO. We do have procedures, just to speak to a couple of May's things. We do run a business meeting here according to the Municipal Government Act and according to our procedural bylaws. And we do have a process for speakers to come to our podium. And we do respect people that come to the podium, to respect council. We did follow up on Mrs. Dedman's complaint, and I have asked the CAO a couple of times. The last we heard from her was that she would come up to the town hall to talk to John when the weather was better, because it wasn't suitable for her to take her scooter out, and that's the last I've heard. So if the door is still open, I don't think John and I have ever said that we will not talk to anybody. Some things don't need to be, are better discussed not in public, and we're certainly open to that. So any other councillors like to say anything? May's gone, but do you have any other comments on May's presentation? Okay, we'll move ahead to our second speaker. Tonight we have Janice Macbeth as our second speaker, and her topic is the Municipal Act Public.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name's Janice Macbeth. I'm from Victoria Cross. One of the meetings that was being held here one night, there was also an MGA meeting because there's an MGA under review by the minister. So myself and some other people left here and went right on over. I spoke to Heather McCauley, and I gave her this document that I'd done up briefly. I think she might have already been here tonight, I'm not sure. And I'm not going to speak to all my issues that I wanted addressed under the Municipality Act. If anyone's interested in my issues, you could always tick me off an email. But one of my primary concerns with the Municipality Act and with actually a bylaw here, it's your Freedom of Information bylaw. So we're one of the smaller municipalities that are not included under the Provincial Freedom of Information Act and under that department. You have your own Freedom of Information bylaw. So at this point, after, several months of planning board, having unanswered questions, I submitted 4 definitions under your own bylaw, and I also submitted questions that had not been answered from an October meeting. I'd like to thank Joan for getting back to me right away with the actual questions. I appreciated that. So I did get one response. However, my other 4, it was requests for 4 definitions: place of worship, institutional uses and zone, and group home. So these are all things that are really important in our document, because any time you change a definition, it can change our community. It can change very quickly our community fabric. And because I was not pleased with the non-transparent process, I sent these suggestions in, and I got a response eventually, I think, from the CEO. So for my 4 words that I wanted information on, it's going to be an $800 cost to me, with a $400 part of it for a legal bill. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear. This was a public process. It's public definitions. It's a publicly paid bylaw, an official plan. But yet, in order for me to get clarity on why these definitions have changed, evolved, or been added, I missed one, which was school, which is a really interesting one. But that, to me, folks, is a barrier to information in this public forum. And tonight, I'm going to ask you to do the same as what I'm asking the province, and for you to repeal that bylaw, because I think, obviously, there's an issue with time for staff, which I can understand. Personnel has to go from their daily job, like Joan did. But obviously, there's legal constraints too. And, I did have one other FOIP request with the provincial government, and it went really well, and it was free. So, at the end of the day, I don't know why you need a legal review of my request for 4 definitions that were changed in a public process that wasn't really public for us at all. So I'm going to ask that this council request that the Freedom of Information component of your bylaw be added to the provincial documents under the FOIP Department of the Province of Prince Edward Island. That'd be fair and transparent, I think, more fair and transparent, and more cost effective, because, the same day I got the bill was the same day I got a $679 electric bill, like everybody else. And does anyone have any questions for me before I go? I think I hit everything there.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Macbeth? Yep.
I have the Freedom of Information Act request in front of me, and it seems to be more than the 4 items that you mentioned.
No.
It says any and all records, including
Right.
but not limited to text, notes, emails, memos, memorandums, photos, reports pertaining to definition in bylaw, institutional use, and institutional zone.
Right. I didn't want to miss anything.
And, I lost the
But they're
other one here.
definitions. They're public definitions in a public document.
But you're asking for a number of records that we would have to reach
Yeah,
out to the
because we
mayor
stood at
on
this,
all of
we stood at
staff.
this, with all due respect, I guess I'm out. We didn't get answers to our questions during the process. Thank you very much. I'll take today's stuff.
I know everybody interrupts everybody, but can we just let the CAO finish, please?
I
John,
can't
would you-
find the other one, I
Yeah.
have to pull it up here, but it required us reaching out and looking at emails, records, a lot more than just,
Right.
here are the definitions.
And so that's kind of why, Mr. Jameson, I'm asking that this bylaw not be located in this building, because if you don't have the staff, and the province has a whole department to deal with this. Give them your FOIP requests. For the few that you might get, something like mine, I just didn't want to miss anything. But I can't afford to spend $800 on a FOIP request for the town of Three Rivers. Thank you.
Anything else, Francis? Okay, the next speaker we have is Charlie Hicken, and he wants to address the council tonight on single-family dwellings.
Good evening. Charlie Hicken from the community of Albion, and I wish to address you this evening about bylaws concerning single-family dwellings. In July of 2024, Three Rivers issued a development permit for a single-family dwelling at 18 Riverside Drive, owned by a Mr. Chow, who resides at 985 Line Road, a large Jeebus compound next to the Buffalo Ranch. During construction, Jenny Rue, head of Bliss and Wisdom, and the leader of both Jeebus and GWBI, visited the site at 18 Riverside Drive, giving instruction to workers on site how she wished the building process to proceed. This left no doubt in my mind who the real owner of this property was. This property has 3 bathrooms, 2 of which are typical bathrooms, but the third is a dormitory style with 3 sinks, 3 toilets, and 3 showers. Together, they are the equivalent of 5 bathrooms. This building is also designed and intended to house 18 individuals. A normal single-family dwelling requires 2 parking spots, leaving the possibility of 16 vehicles parked on the street. This is very unfair to the neighbors and others in the community. My learned friend Janice Macbeth, during revision of the development bylaws, suggested that there should be restrictions on occupancy of single-family dwellings. But like all other suggestions from the public during that process, it was ignored. It appears that council feels special interest groups come before the residents of Three Rivers, who they are supposed to represent. I've got 2 questions. Was planning department aware of the intended use of this property when the development permit was issued? And second question, now that council is aware of this issue, will they act to prevent it from happening again? Is there any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Hicken? No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have planning staff look into that. Okay, I did have Derek Nicholson down to speak, but I don't think Derek is here, is he? Okay. Okay, we'll move along to 7.1, which is the mayor's report. So I'm really pleased that we have our budget done and passed, and that we're it's great to see Three Rivers in a positive financial situation. And it was a lot of work for both council and staff and a lot of meetings, so I want to thank everybody for all the work they put into that. So now, with budget behind us, we'll be moving into the busy spring and summer seasons, and we've already talked about additional ball fields, preparing ball fields, parks, general maintenance, and everything that it takes to keep all our facilities in Three Rivers going. I sit on the Federation of Municipalities Finance Committee, and the committee met on March 14th to finalize their budget, and the PEIFM annual meeting is also being held on the 28th of April in Summerside. There were some training sessions held at Town Hall. The Down East Health Community Center, the Down East Community Health Center is operational. There's been a number of clinics held. We're hoping to see more, but the committee continues to meet, discuss ongoing issues with the clinic. Being on the clinic has given me a more in-depth understanding of the challenges facing our healthcare system, and the challenges definitely in trying to get a healthcare clinic in our area. So it's been a learning experience for sure. I was very honored to be invited to speak at on behalf of Three Rivers at the launch of the Clean Tech Leadership and Transformation Master's Degree Program from UPEI March 24th. The launch was held at the Georgetown Playhouse. A large crowd was in attendance, and it was exciting. It's exciting to see Three Rivers, to see the construction of the Clean Tech Academy beginning, and to have this new and innovative program offered in Georgetown. On March 27th, I attended the monthly board meeting of the PEI Federation of Municipalities. That was a lot of preparation for the upcoming annual meeting. This board is a representation from municipalities, towns, and the two cities on PEI, and it's a great place to network and get to know people from other communities and discuss similar problems at that board. On March 28th, I attended the graduation of 6 students from the Career Bridges program. This is the 3rd graduation I've attended, and it's very rewarding when you go out in the community and see that these people that have come through this very worthwhile program have found jobs in their community. So I always enjoy attending those. Those were the major highlights, and now we'll ask the CAO to do his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. My report was attached to the meeting package, so I won't go through it all. I will touch on a few items. Staff were also pleased that we completed the 25-26 financial plan, and we do think it's a nice balance between fiscal responsibility and strategic investment. The plan is available on the staff on the town's website, and we have started working on some of the capital items that have been identified. Following the establishment of our financial plan, we did receive a letter from the province on a new 2-year funding revenue sharing agreement. The province found an additional $5.5 million that they would provide to the municipalities across PEI, and our share of that is roughly around $218,000. So we're pleased to see an increase in that funding, and it wouldn't have been reflected in our plan because we didn't know that at the time. Don will present the financial report for the end of February of this last fiscal year, and again it'll show an operating surplus of $666,000, and then when you take out some capital expenses, a cash surplus of $493,000. Our new website is coming along. The site map has been developed. Staff have been training. Joan has actually been doing a great job starting to populate the new website. What she reports to me is that it's a much easier process than our current website. It'll be great when we get that fully populated. On HR, we did a number of interviews for our seasonal gardening positions, and we did make a couple of offers recently. We also had a number of candidates in to do interviews for our temporary recreation and events coordinator. This will cover leave. And again, I'm very impressed with the high caliber of people that we're attracting to apply within the town. One of the things that planning staff did a really good job of is they put together one-page flow chart outlining the process for planning, and we thought that might be useful for folks when they're looking at whether something triggers a public meeting or whether it doesn't, that it's a nice one-pager that we have on our website, and we'll promote that. Again, attended several meetings and participated in a number of discussions with all levels of government. Any questions?
Any questions for John? No. Okay, thanks, John, for the report. Now we are on to the 7.3, the development permit monthly report on page 16. I just been informed that there's a correction on that on PID 1107-382. The permit fee should be $105,000. I think it's 0 on there. It just was a mistake in data entry. Everybody, any questions on the development permit? Okay. And so now I believe we are on to our planning board, 7.4.1, our planning board report. And I will turn that over to the chair, Ann.
Thank you. Okay, we have a development application 23.25, the Sandspit Lane launching, Sandspit Lane launching. PID 906396, the sighting of a recreational vehicle for 120 days and clearing land. Be it resolved that the development permit for the sighting of a recreational vehicle for 120 days and clearing land on PID 906396 at Sandspit Lane be approved subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, the development permit application dated February 21st, 2025. 2, the permit is valid for 120 days from the date of issue, after which time the recreational vehicle must be removed from the site. 3, sewage and gray water must be disposed of properly into an approved septic system or pumped from the holding tanks and disposed of properly. 4, the applicant is advised any trees being removed from the buffer zone require a buffer zone permit from the Department of Environment. 5, the plan conditions the site plan received February 27th, 2025.
Okay, moved by Councillor Monroe, second by Councillor McDonald. Any questions for the chair on that permit? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. 7.4.2 again?
Development application 27.25, St. Michael's Lane, PID 1585687, the sighting of a recreational vehicle for 120 days and a 12-foot by 22-foot shed in preparation of land for future residential development. Be it resolved that the development permit for the sighting of a recreational vehicle for 120 days and a 12-foot by 22-foot shed in preparation for land for future residential development on PID 158568 St. Michael's Lane be approved with the following conditions. Condition 1, the development permit application dated March 3rd, 2025. 2, the permit is valid from June 1st, 2025 to September 29th, 2025, after which time the recreational vehicle must be removed from the site. 3, within 12 months of the date of this permit, a residential dwelling proposal shall be submitted for approval. Should the approved dwelling, the main building, not be commenced, the permitted accessory building shall be removed from the site. 4, the sewage and gray water must be disposed of properly into an approved septic system or pumped from holding tanks and disposed of properly. 5, plans condition site plan received March 3rd, 2025.
Moved by Councillor Monroe, second. By Deputy Mayor Jenkins. Any questions for the chair on this? Yeah.
Where is St. Michael's Lane?
Go ahead.
Debbie?
Yep,
Oh, there
go
are my
ahead.
speakers. It's down by Launching Harbor.
Oh, that's,
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, motion carried. 7.4.3, yeah,
Development application 32.25, St. Andrews Point Road, PID 543637, the sighting of a recreational vehicle for 120 days. Be it resolved that the development permit for sighting of a recreational vehicle for 120 days on PID 543637 St. Andrews Point Road be approved with the following conditions. Condition 1, the development permit application received March 14th, 2025. 2, the permit is valid from June 1st, 2025 to September 29th, 2025, after which time the recreational vehicle shall be removed from the site. 3, sewage and gray water must be disposed of properly into an approved septic system or pumped from holding tanks and disposed of properly. Condition 4, plans condition site plan received March 14th, 2025.
Okay, mover and a seconder for that? Okay, moved by, Councillor, Deputy Mayor Jenkins, second by Councillor McDonald. Any, questions on that, development permit? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Okay, motion carried. Next to 7.4.4, go ahead. The development agreement. Di- Okay. We'll ask Lear Patrick to go ahead with that.
Thank you, Worship. I'm in a different copy of the agenda. Thanks. It's related to development agreement application 18124 DEP at 574 Main Street, Montague, Children's Daycare. Be it resolved that council approve the development agreement between the town of Three Rivers and the developer Lucky Holdings Limited and Matthew Clendenning in the matter of a development application 181.24.DEP 574 Main Street, PIDs 196192, 196170, and 196154 Montague for a children's daycare.
Okay, the development agreement is on page 59. Okay, moved by Councillor Monroe, second by, we have a seconder? Okay, Councillor Van Dyke, any questions on this permit? Okay, seeing none?
Yours?
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I still believe that is the worst place for a daycare. And I see on one section there that the drop-off area is in the back. So there'd be no, how are they gonna police that?
Lee, would you like to respond, or?
Very good. Thank you, Worship. We'll be monitoring this quite closely. We have historically shared the concerns with this proposal, and as you can see by the length and breadth and scale of the topics within the agreement, there's very few corners that are left untouched with regard to the proposal. Monitoring is something we will be doing to ensure it's successful, and the applicant is well aware that pickups and drop-offs are not to be occurring at the front. That's not something that's supported by the DTI either. So we've uncovered many issues with this, and hopefully we'll resolve them through the use of the agreement. And we don't use these agreements lightly. They are for serious matters.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Lee, you said we would be policing it, right? So how are we going to police that?
We will be monitoring it. We monitor a lot of the development which passes through our hands for compliance, and this is one that's of particular interest to ensure that what's been proposed to us and what's been deemed as permittable is compliant with the requirements of the permit, and that, as you can see from the terms of the agreement, those works need to be signed off by the applicant's engineer or surveyor. So it needs to be a functional layout, it needs to be a safe layout, and as with all development, we are tasked with monitoring it, and we do, and we will ensure that happens.
So once again, a lot of people have asked, where's green space, where's...
Well, this isn't a subdivision, councillor. It doesn't attract green space requirements. There is a play space requirement, which is within the fenced area, which is also to be secured with protection to prevent any issues with vehicle conflicts, because we are aware that one of the concerns we had at the very beginning was there are spaces next to the children's play area, but it is going to be secured. It will be secured through the agreement, and every potential risk that we've identified should be ameliorated by the agreement. So to answer your question, no green space required, play space definitely.
And once again, well, I said at the last meeting, and I'll stick to my guns, it's totally etiquette crazy. We're gonna put a daycare over there, so I wouldn't be supporting it either.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Just to clarify, we've already as a council approved the daycare. We're just approving the development agreement, am I correct? Okay.
Yep. Yes, the daycare has already been approved, so what we're voting on right now is the development agreement to go with the approval. That has to be strictly adhered to, as we've heard, our planning department monitor these permits, and if you had a chance to look at it, it's quite a lengthy and involved development agreement, so as Lee says, it covers off most of the issues that I think were brought up. Okay, any more comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, nays? Okay, we have, did you get that? Okay, okay, motion is carried. 7.5 is our financial report, and I'll ask Dawn to review this with us. It's found on page 70.
Thank you. So this financial report is for the end of February 28th, 2025, which is the 11th month in this fiscal year. We're in a strong financial position coming into the last couple of months of the fiscal year. We have an operating surplus of $666,008, and with a few capital purchases, we end off at $493,266, which is very healthy. Thank you.
Any questions for Dawn on our financial report? It's very good to see a financial report in that strong of a position. So, nobody has any questions? Okay, thank you, Dawn. So we'll move on to the public school review report, and I believe there is somebody here that's going to give that report. Okay, you come to the podium there and there's a button there to turn on the mic. You can introduce yourself and.
Well, let's go back to school, I guess. My name is Wade Zank. I am the trustee for Zone 6, which is the Montague Family of Schools. And we just finished a report, which I'm just going to quickly go over now. I think all of you received the report for the Montague Family of Schools. The full report is available online on the PSB School Board. So that's the full island report. All right. So as of December 17th, at the December 17th Board of Trustee public meeting, Acting Assistant Director Dominic LeCara provided the PSB Board of Trustees with a review of schools report. The latest report and recommendations were reviewed during this meeting to look at school capacities. The report provided recommendations for Bluefield, Kensington, Kincora, Burrell, Surrey, Three Oaks, West Isle, and the Montague Family of Schools. The Charlottetown report was done earlier in the year, separately to this report. The review of schools as commissioned by the Public Schools Branch of PEI was intended to focus on the availability of instructional and support program spaces within the 8 family of schools. A consultant was engaged to visit each of the 40 schools and discuss with schools administration the current and projected enrollments for each school, as well as the use of existing spaces. The primary objective of the review was to identify schools. There were 3 objectives. First one was which schools currently have sufficient space for present enrollment. The second objective was the shortage of available space. And the third one was the presence of surplus space. Okay. The current circumstances were then compared to future challenges in the event of enrollment growth from within the respected catchment areas. On the basis of these findings, 3 recommendations for the public school board consideration have been made, and they are, first one is maintaining the status quo. The second is maintaining status quo but monitoring the situation. And thirdly, initiating for the study to determine the appropriate actions to address capacity. In accordance with the requirements of the school review policy, and in recognition of the current provincial initiative focusing on population growth and residential housing and development, the school review will focus on 3 primary areas. The first area is program issues, where the school has challenges providing students with equitable access to appropriate educational programs or services due to the availability of suitable space. The second one is capacity issues, where there be overcrowding in the school such that maybe an insufficient number of classrooms or spaces or programming for individual or small groups of students can be delivered appropriately. And thirdly, demographic issues that are projected increases in the general population or student population in an area that may dramatically impact school or schools. Given the current situation in many of our schools and the obvious growth of student population across most or all of Prince Edward Island, and the impact such growth will have on schools, I'll be summarizing the findings from the schools in the Three Rivers municipality in the terms of their enrollment, capacity, and challenges. This will not address capital maintenance needs or of a facility, as this would be subject of further study or discussion with the public schools branch as a property service project or capital budget requests for provincial funding. So I think the Montague Family Schools report was sent ahead of time. I'm just gonna go over some of I'm not gonna go over the whole Montague Family Schools, I'm just gonna go over the 5 in the areas here. Okay. A review of historical, current, and projected enrollments indicates the 6 elementary consolidated schools, as well as the intermediate and high schools, are all experiencing growth. Given the information from the Three Rivers Planning Department of a number of residential developments coming on stream over the next few years, the growth trend can be expected to continue, with in excess of 250 lots being in the proposal stages or already approved. Construction could occur at any time, although it is likely expansion will be gradual and dependent upon sales. Nevertheless, there is little doubt we will see student enrollments increase beyond what has been projected without knowledge of these new residential developments. So page 27 is the first school. That's the page I have, which will be Carding Consolidated School. Current enrollment this year is 124 students, which in the projections when this was done was 124 students. Carding Consolidated presently uses all classrooms, although one is available on a part-time basis, as it is used only part of the instructional day. In addition, there is an after-school program that uses one classroom. One classroom is used for multiple purpose. Overall, space in the school is constrained and sometimes is a challenge to find appropriate space for student support. Given the projected increase of enrollment is a school which will require monitoring. So the recommendation for Cardigan, it is recommended that the status quo at the Cardigan Consolidated School be maintained. I'm kind of nervous actually. All right, next one, Georgetown Elementary. Projected number of students there this year is 78. The projected number would have been 77. The school has sufficient space for classes and student support. One room previously set up for special needs students, and they have moved to another school and currently is unused for that classroom and repurposed for other uses. Also, the Georgetown Community Library occupies one former classroom. Although there is a small projected increase in enrollment, space is not an issue at this time. The recommendation, it is recommended that the status quo at Georgetown Elementary School be maintained, but that the situation be monitored. Now with Georgetown, this report was done before the capital budget was released by the provincial government, which did allocate 10 million for a new school to be built around by 28, 29. So this has nothing to do with that. This was done before that. Okay. Montague Consolidated School. Current enrollment is 455, and it's right on the numbers to the target they were looking at for this year. Montague Consolidated recently completed extensive renovations and has sufficient classrooms for current classes. While spaces to support student learning were created in the renovation, many of the areas envisioned for specific staff to use such workrooms or specialist office and storage areas have been converted to student support areas for the use of 19 EAs assigned to the school, which are educational assistants. Given the population size of nearly 500 students, the school cannot accommodate all scheduled classes in the gymnasium without doubling up by some of these groups. Neither does the school have a designated library for its students and staff. These needs are as well as an additional classroom will need to be addressed in the near future. A growing enrollment as envisioned by the rate of residential growth in the area will certainly exacerbate these needs. The recommendation is, it is recommended that the status quo at Montague Consolidated be maintained, but the situation be monitored. The next school is the Montague Intermediate, grades 7 to 9. Current enrollment is 281 students, which is the number that they projected for this year. With the student population approaching 300 and expecting to reach 350 within 5 years, Montague Intermediate School may be in need of additional classrooms and student support spaces. Should the enrollment continue to grow as expected, the growth in residential development will further necessitate additional space as the new family homes come into being. The recommendation for the intermediate school, it is recommended that a more in-depth study of Montague Intermediate School be done and options for the change be explored. And I think there is someone looking into that now at this point. The final one is the Montague Regional High School. The current enrollment is 461 students, and the projected enrollment this year would be 460 students. Although the capacity of the relatively new high school was stated at 600, the current 464 students use all available classrooms and instructional areas. Spaces for student support allocated during construction have been used, as well as repurposing on other spaces to meet the demand for the service. With the anticipated increase in enrollment, Montague High will require further stretch existing resources and spaces to accommodate all needs. Teachers will continue to share classrooms and support areas, as many may need to be more rigidly scheduled to address everyone. And the recommendation for the high school is recommended the status quo at Montague Regional High School be maintained, but the situation monitored. And that's the end of my report. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Or it's great to have that information. It's yeah, and great to see how the schools have grown and how many students there is. I know my children all attended the Montague Consolidated Intermediate, and they're very crowded schools. I know the Intermediate has done some. No, the Consolidated has done some renovations, but yeah, it's still pretty close close classrooms.
Well, you have my email if any questions or anything or any future things.
No, thank you very much for coming and presenting the report. Okay, we'll move on to request for decisions from Committee of Council, 8.1, request for decision 25-06, Queens Road sidewalks, and I'll turn that over to John.
Thank you, Your Worship. As we mentioned in the last COC meeting, Landmark Construction was the winning tender for the bids for the Queens Road sidewalks. I think there's approximately 550 meters. So the resolution is, be it resolved that Landmark Construction be awarded the tender for the Queens Road sidewalk project for $591,821.08 plus HST, which brings it to $680,594.24. Be it resolved that CBCL be awarded the management fees for the Queens Road sidewalk project for $9,200 plus HST, which takes it to $10,580. Be it resolved that $445,000 be transferred from CCBF funding 12.5.6 expansion of sewer and water network to CCBF 12.5.7 sidewalk expansion for the Queens Road Sidewalk Project, bringing the total funding in 12.5.7 to $732,664.69.
Okay, I need a mover and a seconder for this. Moved by Counselor Spin, second by Counselor Van Donkersgoed. Any questions on the motion? Counselor Spin?
It's too bad that none of our contractors that are in our area didn't win this, but I guess everybody has an equal chance of getting it, so.
Well, we have to follow our,
Yes.
our bidding, our bylaws
Yeah.
on,
You know,
procurement. Yeah, we have to follow our procurement bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carried. Pardon? Yeah, it'd be nice to see that done. 8.2 is request for decisions 25-07 surveillance policy, and I'll turn that over to John as well.
And again, the surveillance policy was shared in your package. And the motion is, be it resolved that the Town of Three Rivers surveillance policy TR 2501 be approved as presented.
Mover and a seconder for, okay, so move Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor McDonald. Any questions for John on this motion? Yeah. Unfortunately, it is. Okay, all in favor? Okay, that motion is carried. 8.3 is request for decisions 25-06, which is surplus land in Georgetown, and John's going to take that over as well.
Again, that was from the last COC meeting. We had a resident make an offer on a property. And the a resolution is, be it resolved that the sale of lot 10B PID 169102 in Georgetown to Crystal Martell for $5,000 be approved.
Moved by Councilor Monroe, second by Deputy Mayor Jenkins. Any comments or questions for John on that motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Okay, motion approved. Okay, I should have said this earlier, but 9 on our agenda is a closed session per MGA section 1119(1)(e). It's a matter under discussion, so we'll have to close the meeting. If we do, the meeting will reopen, and if we have any motions to make, we can't make them in a closed meeting, so the meeting will resume if we have any motions to make. So anyway, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you all to leave now, and if you'd like to wait, the council meeting will be opened later, and we may or may not have an motion. And we need yes, I'll have to have a motion to close it. So, okay, Councilor Van Donkersgoed and Deputy Mayor Jenkins, all in favor, close the meeting? Okay. Yeah, I should follow that on here, and I know that, eh? Okay, there wasn't any resolutions to bring forward to this meeting, so we're just gonna, call for an adjournment of this meeting. Moved by Alan. Second by, Councilor McLean. All in favor of adjourning? Okay, thank you.